and welcome to the newsroom of BIXPO 2019. I'm Ji-hee Wan, and with me this afternoon is Anna Ray, Senior Vice President for External Relations and Technical Resources and Chief Sustainability Officer at Electric Power Research Institute. Welcome, Anna Ray.
Thank you. Welcome.
So I suppose this is your first BIXPO experience, is it?
This is my first. I've been wanting to come for several years, all 5 years, but this is the first. It is exciting and has exceeded my expectations on both the technical aspects as well as the global scope of BIXPO.
Wonderful. So I know this is only the second day and we have one more day to go, but what has stood out the most so far?
I think that there's two things. One is the expos themselves have been all the way from the operations side, looking at fault detectors and transmission lines, to something looking forward in the low carbon resources area, in the hydrogen cars that actually clean the air, not just clean themselves, to the renewable energy where the renewables are getting more and more advanced, rotating the blades, and of course energy storage is going to be necessary with that renewables. But having brought all of those technologies together in a way that people from around the world can understand them and see how they integrate.
Right, wonderful. So obviously, considering your background in the energy space, you have attended numerous expositions and conferences and exhibitions. So what differentiates BIXPO 2019?
So BIXPO is probably one of the larger events. It is focused on the full experience. So it's not just panel discussions and technical discussions or expos, but it's integrated just like the new energy system will be, which is integrating like an ecosystem, all of our energy sources and the uses we have. That's what BIXPO has done. It is an immersive experience that if anyone has never been, they have got to come.
So this is the one-stop solution for those in the field, the energy field.
This is one stop to get the excitement and the culture that this is the kind of careers to be in. This is the place to be to transform the world, starting with South Korea.
That's wonderful. So, I mean, you're obviously wearing many different hats at your organization. So would you please briefly introduce what EPRI does?
Yes. So EPRI is a global R&D research and development company focused on primarily electricity and energy related work. But the difference that we have is very similar to what you see at BIXPO. It's collaborative. So we work in bringing global energy entities, companies together to do research, to share the results with each other. It allows the investment to be less on a particular project and you can invest in more things. The research is more robust, it comes to the market faster, and it's all because EPRI is a not-for-profit, a public benefit company. So we are definitely focused on getting benefits and respect for all people.
And also, Little Birdie told me that you have an amazing event coming up. So would you please tell us a little bit about the Digital Worker Symposium?
Yes, so we taught Digital Worker Symposium at EPRI is we realized that we cannot leave the workforce behind. And as we move forward with these technologies, we connect our world with the digitalization, that we've got to bring the worker along with it in the way that they are immersed, just like you can be immersed at BIXPO, the training that you do, to use virtual reality, augmented reality when you do your maintenance at the plants, to understand how these systems are integral and work together with AI, artificial intelligence, and how the data is so important to be able to get the right insights. The workers are the ones that are the heart and soul to be able to bring this industry to have a lower cost, a healthier footprint from the environment, and to help the workers have a better place that they can work and live.
So yesterday I had a pleasure of having a quick chat with Bill Moore, one of your technical engineers, and he said you have a strong partnership with Kepco. So is Kepco going to be involved in that symposium or not?
So we have a very strong partnership with Kepco because Kepco is rising to be a world leader in innovation. There are things that we can learn from Kepco and there's things that Kepco can learn from the rest of the world. And that's part of that collaborative. So whether we're working with them on transmission lines or preventative maintenance databases and generation, or looking at cybersecurity on the distribution system as more people connect in,
right.
all of that is enabled by digitalization, and all of that will involve Kepco, and they will be part of the Digital Symposium for workers.
That's amazing. So as you know, the theme of BIXPO 2019 is digital platform. Everything is sort of being migrated onto the digital platform at the moment. So I'm wondering how that is being unfolded in the United States at the moment.
So it's very interesting, because the fact that you brought up the digitalization, and that is the platform for BIXPO, it's infusing itself into every aspect of our lives, and that's why we have to focus on the worker. We have to focus on the consumer, who at first feels so excited about all the things that digitalization brings them, and then they wonder about their privacy. So being able to bring digitalization while bringing a trust and a respect for the human and the individual. And I think that's the development that's happening, is the human side is growing just as much as the technology side. The other one is that digitalization does open up a world for bad actors, and so we have to be very diligent in our cybersecurity, both on the information technology, the software side, but also now on the hardware side. So I think there's a tremendous amount of focus to make sure that we can protect people and businesses as we digitize our world.
That's a very important point indeed. So on that note, as we usher in the era of digital transformation, everything around us is being hyper-connected. So do you think the BIXPO 2019 fairly and sufficiently demonstrates the digital transformation that is taking place right now?
So one of the things I've seen at BIXPO that I haven't seen elsewhere is a very heavy focus on, as you are hyper-connected, it also means you need to be hyper-communicated. So you have to be able to talk to each other on common platforms, on ubiquitous communications, not having proprietary protocols for communication, or else all this connectivity will not result in an increase in communication and insights. And I've seen that time and time again from both the speakers, from Kepco, from KEPRI, and the booths, that they are focused on the ability to do plug and play, to interconnect with common platforms. And I think that's one of the things that's really stood out at BIXPO, is the recognition that that's needed.
I see. So this is going to be, I think, the last question. The global energy industry at the moment has been going through a mega shift. So against this backdrop, what type of energy paradigm shift have you witnessed in the United States?
So it's interesting, because to know that there's a paradigm shift in any country or any region, you have to actually step outside that region.
Right.
So you look at what's happening in different parts of the world. In the United States, it's a recognition that this system that was created, a very robust system for one-way power flow out to the customer, has now got to transform itself to be able to have two-way power flow, increase the digitization, and most of all, it's now outside the electric industry. We have got to look economy-wide, outside the electric sector, to be able to get most of the benefits from both health, from pollution and carbon reduction, from the economic growth for new businesses that are operating in the electric industry, and also for energy security, to make sure that in our country and US and other countries, that they're able to have a secure energy resources and not have to be dependent on imports.
I suppose to do so, we need to ensure that all the key stakeholders are on the exact same page. So how can we do that in relation to regulators, policymakers, and also utility operators and customers?
I think that I would have died and gone to heaven if they all got on the same page. I think that I have to embrace in my life, I embrace diverse opinions, diverse jurisdictional structures, diverse regulatory structures. You have some areas that are not market driven. They'll need to optimize their benefits a particular way if they're driven by policy. If they're driven by economics, you're going to have protections in there for not only the consumer, but for the entities that have an obligation to provide power to ensure they can recover their costs. And so every different area will have different regulator thoughts, different policymakers, different decision makers, and I think that's actually the beauty of what I love about BIXPO, is that you have technologies and they can all use them in different ways for solutions that fit their country.
So it's all about integration, I suppose.
It's integration and appreciating diverse opinions and working together to come up with the best solution with the resources you have. And I think every single region, including in the United States, every single state has different resources that they bring to bear, different regulatory structures. And I think that's one thing that EPRI brings is we have a lot of modeling that will be able to take that into account and look economy-wide and say, let's find out about the customer's behavior on transportation, the customer's behavior on how they use electricity. What resources do you already have in place to help bridge us to the future? We want to keep the existing assets as long as possible, but continue to invest because they're the bridge to our next evolution of the energy transformation.
So before we wrap up, are there any thoughts or comments you would like to share with our viewers?
I think that Kepco should be very, very proud of what they have done over the period of 5 years, coming up to being a globally recognized energy innovator. And we are just so proud to have them as part of the collaboration with EPRI and look forward to many years going forward together.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching. I'll be right back here with another special guest.